Yes, sir. Once you give me your ID name, sir, then your name, Tirumala joined DGFT. Joining meeting. No, no, we'll be admitting you right now, sir. It is Tirumala JDGFT, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Right. Sir. No, no. What is your username, sir? Anubhai, Vice President, has also joined. He is giving his username.
Okay, sir. Sir, I'm still looking for Tirumala, sir. I am unable to find him.
Sir, I'll just check out, sir. I'll just check out, sir.
Is it because that the waiting list is kind of full and then no new one can join?
Sir, please share the name. Yes, sir.
Maximum capacity दिखा रहा है हम सबका.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, Vice President, sir, have joined. We have made him the co-host.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, can we, sir, Tirumala, sir, is yet to join. He's facing some technical issue. Can we start the session or shall we wait?
No, we have to wait for him.
Okay, sir.
Then I'll check, sir. 1 minute, sir. Because right.
Otherwise, it's the number restriction which is causing problem for him to join.
Tirumala, JDGFT, sir. Yeah, I'll
So Srinath, sir, is speaking to him.
Tirumala से मैं वही से ढूंढ रहा हूँ, sir. Yeah. Anuba, TIRU.
I think you can expand the limit for timing and let him admit. I think that is only.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Sir, is he in the waiting room? Tirumala, sir?
He's in the meeting room. He's in the meeting. Tirumala. Otherwise,
Sir, I can't locate him as of now.
you don't switch off right now, sir, because Anubha is trying from her end. Yeah. Right.
Anuba, can you increase the count limit for timing?
Right now, we cannot do that, sir. 300 is the limit. After that, they'll automatically switch over to YouTube. So, we are doing that. Anubha, he is still logged in as Tirumala. Just check out and.
I think the problem is that there are too many people willing to join.
That's true.
Yeah.
You have to go for higher capacity. I don't know. 300 is not enough.
Sir, please ask him if he's in the waiting room or is it showing that he can't join right now?
Anubha, please unmute Vice President.
Yes, sir, I have made him the co-host.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Sir. No, sir. We are waiting. We are waiting for you, sir. We are waiting for you. But please. नहीं वो we'll just switch you on, sir. आप अगर मेरे को बोले कि किस नाम से आप कर रहे हो, तिरुमला is we're trying for Tirumala. You are logged in, na, sir? Right. Yeah, we'll facilitate you 1 minute, sir.
Why not we take help from the IT department if there is some technical hiccup?
Good afternoon, participants. Please bear with us. We are waiting for Mr. Tirumala JDGFT also to join, and then we'll start the session. Just a couple of minutes, please.
Hello. अच्छा, हाँ, लिख लेते जो कुछ भी
Tirumala sir has joined.
Manubhai, I think he has joined now.
Yes, sir, he has joined. We are making him the co-host now.
Thank you. Sir, can we start the program, sir?
Yes, please proceed. Everyone is waiting.
Recording in progress.
Manubhai, please proceed.
Thank you very much for joining today's very important session. Without taking much time, I request Dr. Sahai for his welcome address. Over to you, sir.
And Mr. Tirumala joined DGFT. Mr. Deepak Jalani, Deputy DGFT, Mr. Kapil Prajapati, OSD Department of Revenue, Mr. Sandeep Punia, OSD Drawback Department, Department of Revenue, my Vice President, Shri Israr Ahmed, other Chairman of Export Promotion Council, distinguished members of FIEO Board, exporters, entrepreneurs, ladies and gentlemen, let me extend a very warm welcome to all of you in this outreach session on a virtual platform. We are extremely thankful to the DGFT for agreeing to the suggestion made by my Vice President to have a session on pan-India basis on a virtual platform on annual RoDTEP return, followed it up with a physical program in some of the export-centric clusters and regions with the help of export promotion councils, as well as the local associations. The presence of so many officers from Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Finance shows the importance which government attaches to the annual RoDTEP return, which is extremely important not only for defending the various countervailing actions being taken by the partner countries, but also for the survival of the scheme, as we do not any longer enjoy the special and differential treatment available to us as Annex 27 country under the Agreement on Subsidies and Countervailing Measures, as we have breached the $1,000 per capita GNP between 2013 to 2015. The government is looking into providing the complete zero rating of exports within the WTO discipline. In fact, the basic customs duty is refunded to the export sector to the drawback, or the same is exempted under the instrument like advanced license, annual advanced license, FIEO, or under the EOU SPZ scheme. The GST refund is through the IGST refund mechanism by the customs or the ITC refund by the tax authority. But still there are some of the goods and services which are not within the ambit of the GST, for example, food and petroleum or electricity duty. There are a number of taxes which have not yet been integrated into the GST, like stamp duty, electricity duty, mandi tax on agriculture commodities, are embedded incidents of taxes where on the end product there is no GST, but the inputs of the product are subject to GST, or the supplies are being taken from the unregistered sources and thus adding the GST to the value of the goods. Government has attempted a complete zero rating of exports by providing the RoDTEP and RoCTL scheme for the garment and made-up sector. This scheme will definitely help in providing competitiveness to India's exports in long time to come. The scheme was rolled on 1st of January 2021, and as of now, the scheme is valid up to 30th of September 2025, though for the EU, SPZ and advanced license holder, the scheme technically lapsed on 31st of December 2024. Customs has provided shipment under the RoDTEP scheme for these entities up to 5th of February. We request the DGFT to kindly look into that and extend the scheme for advanced license EU in SPZ unit also, co-terminus with the RoDTEP scheme as such. Since the sizable fund has been given for the RoDTEP scheme for the coming financial year, we expect the scheme to provide some kind of permanency into that. The RoDTEP annual return assumes greater significance as we are seeing a lot of countervailing actions against India. These returns will not only help the government to defend the scheme, but also the enterprises. If some investigation takes place against the exporter, they can have the details at their disposal, which can help them to justify that the RoDTEP scheme is only providing them the actual refund of duties and taxes paid by them. In fact, the annual RoDTEP return can also be a document which can help the industry to get a better RoDTEP rate, because if the data justifies a higher RoDTEP rate, we can also approach the government for increasing the rate. And these data can also be used for sectoral benefits for some of the sector where the government wants to trust the exports as well. Let me also use this opportunity to flag some of the concern for the RoDTEP scheme which has been raised by the industry time to time. RoDTEP is a refund instrument, and therefore it should not be subject to any budgetary constraint. We have seen that due to lack of funds for the RoDTEP scheme, at times certain sectors are not covered, at times certain entities are not covered into it. Since the RoDTEP only provides the 0 rating of exports, we want the scheme to continue on a long-term basis without any budgetary constraint. There are a couple of issues which have been raised with regard to the value cap. Generally, a value cap has been encouraged where there is a tendency to overvalue exports with higher export incentive. In the RoDTEP scheme, the benefit to the industry is absolutely moderate. There is already a limitation of 150% of the present market value on the RoDTEP entitlement, and therefore, we request that the value cap under the RoDTEP may be looked into as this further restrict the entitlement of the industry. The third important issue is the extension of the brand rate kind of drawback to the RoDTEP scheme also. So where the industry has the data to back a higher RoDTEP rate, maybe exclusively to the industry, they can provide these data for getting a higher brand rate of RoDTEP also. Finally, I think we have to look into whether we can provide the RoDTEP return in cash and to those who are exporting under the drawback in continuation with the drawback. We have taken up this matter, but we have been given to understand that there is an issue of allocation of resources. If the cash refund happens, it will be entirely to the credit of the central government. If it is a RoDTEP scheme, the customs revenue is shared between central and state, but probably Finance Commission can look into these aspects and make the life easier for the export sector by providing a cash refund, maybe in conjunction with the drawback for those who are exporting to the drawback scheme. Since there are expert speakers, I'm pretty sure that they will be also looking into all the technical challenges which has been faced by the industry. DGFT has been quite sympathetic to the demand of the industry so far annual advance returns are concerned. They realize the compliance burden on the small industry and they have excluded all those who are getting a RoDTEP return of less than 1 crore in a financial year from the burden of filing the annual RoDTEP return. In fact, in the FAQ, they have gone a step further and they have said that if for any particular product at 8 digits, the total RoDTEP benefit is less than 50 lakhs, you need not to file the annual RoDTEP return for such product. But if your total return is in excess of 1 crore and individual for any product at 8 digits, it is less than 50 crore, you have to 50 lakhs, you have to file one return for the product for which you have got the highest number or the largest value of the RoDTEP. I'm pretty sure the speakers here who are there will throw much light on that. They will also address a lot of concern which has been raised with regard to certain assumptions which have to be made by the industry while filing for these returns. The DGFT has made clear that assumptions are permitted, but they have to be within the realm of realism, and therefore industry can calculate on a reasonable basis. I would not like to take much time before I request the DGFT officers to make a presentation or to throw some light on the queries of the industry. I will request my Vice President who has taken the lead for this kind of interaction to say a few words. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ajay sir. And good afternoon to all. And first of all, I'd like to thank the DGFT and his team for arranging this meeting. We've been asking for this meeting since, I think, end of December, you know, as there was a lot of anxiety among the exporters when we saw that we have to give the annual return. And unfortunately, the way this has happened is that a lot of the exporters are not aware of what kind of data goes into this annual return, because most of the councils have been instrumental in getting that data collected from a few of the exporters and then presenting it to the RoDTEP committee and getting it approved. But unfortunately, as they are not aware, I think there has been a lot of anxiety about it. I think DGFT sir has been very kind to speak to us and tell us that, you know, this is something that is required due to the pressures from the other countries and their, like a non-tariff barriers, what they are looking at as a non-tariff barriers, as a incentive scheme that may have come in and will be and is being challenged. So we need to have a mechanism where we can justify that this is not a subsidy and this is only a return of taxes. And also, like our DG explained, We are thankful that this was not covered for many of the smaller exporters who are exporting below 50 crores on a 8-digit HS code, 50 lakhs refund. And what's happening is that, so we only need about 2,500 odd exporters to be covered in this to give a return as well. So I would like to ask my fellow exporters to kindly use this opportunity to ask questions, to get clarification as well. Because this is a great opportunity, and I'm sure I asked my own team at FIEO to conduct a lot more meetings. As we can see from today's meeting, even I couldn't get in because the capacity was reached at 300. There are and the Senat and everybody else. I'd like to have this conducted on a weekly basis, if possible, as well for at least 4 weeks, so that we can, sensitize the issue and let them know what we would like to achieve here. So, without further delay, I'd like to, pass on the so that we can move on with the meeting. Thank you so much.
Sir, for your address. Now I request Mr. Tirumala, the joint DGFT, for his address. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the participants, fellow exporters. Thank you, Dr. Ajay Sir. Thank you, Mr. Israr, for the introduction there. This RoDTEP return, it's very nice to see that more than 300 people came. In fact, I was also not allowed into the meeting, and that led to some kind of delay. So the enthusiasm is really, really there. And apologies from my side because I couldn't join earlier because of that constraint. Having said that, this format took some time for us to finalize because objective from our end also was, as Ajay sir was telling, was not to do some kind of penal kind of exercise on the exporters, but rather to collect the data for the compliance requirements that arises out of our multilateral obligations. So having said that, we have tried to make it as simple as possible, the form, and many of you who have given the data to the Department of Revenue, the Pillar Search Committee, they might recall that this format is very similar to the ones that you have submitted. So to that extent, it should not be very difficult to people who have already done the data exercise, but those who are not done, rest assured that we are there at every step to handhold you and guide you so that there is no issue. So with me, my colleague officers are there, Deepak, who is working with me, an officer here, and also the officer from Drawback, the OSP is here. So you feel free to take this opportunity to ask questions. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask, because we will take those doubts, and if it's a common doubt, we'll make it part of the FAQ, which will be dynamically updated, so that in case of any difficulty, you can refer to that updated FAQ. And as far as the compliance burden and limits are considered, we have tried to make it as liberal as possible by not letting you or not making you fill for all those small exported items where the value is less than 50 lakhs. So to that extent, I hope that this particular training session will help you. So I would now request Deepak to make a brief presentation. You may kindly go through, and then it will be followed by an FAQ. While you are free to ask any question, I would be very happy if we can restrict answers to the format and the required asks that has come out through this ARR, rather than asking us to please increase the rate and those kind of things. That those requests are, while very, very genuine, I mean, I don't disagree, but we can take it up sometime else. So over to you, Deepak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I'll share my screen, and then I think we can begin.
So your screen is visible to us.
Just a minute. I think there is some issue.
Till the time the screen is being shared, I would like to inform you all that we have crossed the 500 mark, where more than 200 people are watching us live on YouTube right now, and 300 people over Zoom. So your screen is visible to us.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. So, just that to begin with, I'll just give a like what is the RoDTEP stands for, because that introduction itself will give you an insight that why we are in a position that we want you to file annual RoDTEP return. The RoDTEP return, its name starts with remission of duty taxes on exported products, and that definition came with an idea that we want any support program which is to be done, which is to be undertaken under foreign trade policy to support our exports, have to operate within the ACM framework of WTO. That is a obligation which India has, and that's why when the scheme came, it clearly provided that the scheme objective and operating principles. If you see the para 4.54 of the scheme, it provided that the objective of the scheme is to refund currently unrefunded duties levies at the center, state, and local level. And it made clear that if you read the second para says that it is not available in respect of duties, levies, or taxes which are already exempted or remitted or credited.
So if you can take it forward, sir, because we can only see the main one.
Oh, you can't see the slide 2 or slide 3?
No, we can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's
okay now. So I'll reshare. Not. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see one of two. Introduction.
Right. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about, that the scheme introduction itself will give you a glimpse that why we have come to a stage where we are calling for returns, because the scheme, since its inception in 2020, had that operating principles and a scheme objective in mind, and that somehow we have been kind of not insist on these strictly for the time being, but probably the time has come because of a number of such factors where we need to introduce disciplines to ensure that these things are put into practice. So this I think, and then, like most of you are already aware, but just to reiterate the background. The journey of the scheme, that started in the year 2021. The scheme started with a fund limited, budget limited framework. Although, as in introduction, Ajay sir had said that since it's a remission scheme, it should be kind of not be budget limited scheme, but various discussions, interministerial discussions have happened in this regard since like now almost 5 years have happened since discussions and everything. The point Ministry of Finance has made it clear that it cannot be an unlimited scheme, because in this scheme the effort is the remission is done by the union government of the taxes which are largely collected by state governments or the local governments. So Ministry of Finance has made it clear that they can provide so much of the support, but not kind of an unlimited or support without any limitations. So that has been the case, it, and that's why since inception it did not have the complete coverage. That, but the efforts have been made to maximize the outgo, maximize the coverage, maximize the utilization within the limited budget which has been provided. So chemicals, pharma, articles of iron and steel were covered in 2022. There was an anomaly exercise which was also undertaken through RoDTEP committee, which had done it, and then advanced EU SEZ was included in year 2021. The rates are determined by RoDTEP committee. The committee is reconstituted from time to time. You are aware on this. And as on date, there are around 10,000 plus 10,642 tariff lines. So it means that almost a significant portion of tariff lines or our export uh, basket is covered under RoDTEP. The budget or the outgo which has happened is 54,000 in, let's say, 4 years only. So you can see that it's a huge scheme, a massive scheme, and that's why the discipline has been kind of being sought from time to time from various sources. And so in that line, in this journey, this currently we are at a stage where we are calling for exporters to file annual RoDTEP return. Just to before coming to the annual RoDTEP return and filing of that return, I want to invite your attention to rate fixation process. I think most of you will be aware, but just to reiterate what Tirumala sir has said, that what we are seeking or what data points we are trying to collect or what limited submissions we are asking you to provide are based on the submissions which exporters as on date are submitting to RoDTEP committee. We have tried to use the same format. We have not done any tweaking. We only have tried to limit or simplify as much as possible. But the committee's mandate, probably you could have seen that I think most of you would be aware that the tax, because of India's federal structure, wherein there are so many taxes which are collected by different level, where different, let's say, units of government, and such as, like, let's say, stamp duty, which is collected by different vertical of government. There is electricity duty, there is transportation, the tax on the transportation fuels, and like which are not covered in a simplified GST, which many of the countries in world might have. But because of that, the leeway was provided to committee, RoDTEP committee, and there were efforts made to work out a modality to come out with a recommendation on the rates which can be provided through RoDTEP. And you will know that this format has two parts. One part is for exporter or factory level information, consolidated information. This is kind of a top level information, and then you are required to fill in the product wise information. And in this, you provide details of such taxes and duties such as electricity consumption, rail transportation, or inland waterways transportation, or earlier stage or prior stage cumulative taxes which might have uh, incurred into your process in your final outcome. So that is what kind of provides the framework of rate fixation. So we have just replicated this when we are calling for return. Now, why the need had arisen is one is that there is a need to streamline compliance of the policy. So you'll know that the para 4.57, since the inception was there, it had provided that exporters are required to maintain records substantiating the claims which they have received under the scheme. And there have been like as on date, a good number of CVD investigations have concluded or concluding or in the pipeline, wherein the export items across sectors such as iron, steel, aluminium, or plastics, chemicals, and like the products across the sectors have been looked into by foreign investigating authorities in terms of subsidy allegations. And WTO's ACM requires that whatever remission if government is providing, they should be kind of individually uh, endorsing that remission in terms of verification of that every pie or every penny which is being paid to exporter. So in terms of discipline, ASCM discipline in WTO is quite stringent, and the efforts have been made to to fulfill that discipline with a reasonably limited scope. So that is the scope. That is the reason why this return is one of the why the return requirement has been introduced. And again, like another intervention which is being seen as on date is that it will aid in policy intervention, including possible rate revisions in future. So that is also one of the area which will be working as we start receiving that annual RoDTEP returns. So this with this purpose in mind, the requirement was introduced. So you'll know that annual RoDTEP return has these fields. So again, the basic detail is kind of high level detail where you provide your IC and your export details thing, and then in export details you provide under which export item you have claimed RoDTEP and intend to file RoDTEP return, and then you provide those input taxes or input items taxes details, and you provide an attachment and declaration. So the link is available on DGFT portal for filing that RoDTEP return. A number of efforts have been made to simplify from our part to on this filing of return. The first is that the higher threshold. We have kept the threshold as 1 crore rupees, which will effectively, as per our estimate, only 2,500 ICs will be will be required to file that return. We have asked that the return only needs to be filed for such ITSHS code wherein the RoDTEP benefit crosses 80 lakh rupees. It is not the exports value; it is the RoDTEP benefit of rupees 50 lakhs, which beyond which or above which the exporters are required to file RoDTEP return or provide some details for that export item. Then there is what we have done, that we have provided an online portal where you can simply file your return online. We have tried to make it simple. The platform is familiar to you. This is the same platform through which you might be applying for various other applications to DGFT. We have also provided a facility of bulk upload, so you don't need to actually like remain live on the portal. You can collect your data points through the Excel, and then you can upload that so that your friendliness with the portal is not disturbed. And then we have provided help manual and FAQs which we have made available on portal, and we have made the FAQs as Tirumala sir showed, that we have made it dynamically updated. So as and when we progress, we move forward. If there are any specific queries which comes from you or any other stakeholders, will try to provide the resolution of that by including that in FAQs, so that the exporters are very well made aware on the way forward on any kind of issues. So this is the effort, special effort which has been made to simplify filing of annual RoDTEP returns. Some of the frequently asked question which we have received so far is what is the last date? Last date is 31st March, but again there is a with payment of some fees, 10,000 fees, you can still file your return up to June. Will RoDTEP scroll immediately stop? So as on date, as you could see in the public notice, we have said that it will take some time. We are not stopping before June, and then even after June, then we have provided a we'll be discussing with API based mechanism with ISBIC. So let's see how it progresses. The idea is not to stop the scroll, just to kind of disincentivize not filing the return, not to penalize. The idea is not to penalize. What if none of the export item has a RoDTEP claim beyond 50 lakh rupees? Then you are not required to. Then you are required to file return only for any one of the item if you have crossed RoDTEP ceiling of 1 crore rupees. Is merchant exporter? Yes, merchant exporters are needed to file the return, but as per our estimate, there will be only few exporters beyond this ceiling who remain merchant exporter, but yes, they are required to file the return. Will higher calculation of duties result in better fixation of rate in future? Let's see. but we'll be sharing that data with the committee as and when in future it gets reconstituted. And we have a dedicated email ID. So if you have any specific queries or doubts as we go forward, you can reach out to through this email, and then we'll try to respond to you. So that is what we have in mind to present you. So with this, uh, I think we can open the floor for the questions, but I think we have also officers from Drawback Division, Department of Revenue. So if if they want to intervene right now, we can ask them, or then as and when the questions come, I think they can contribute at that time also. Kapil sir, will you like to come?
Sir, I don't think he's in the meeting yet. So I request participants to raise their queries. For raising the queries, please feel free to raise your hand, and accordingly we will send you the request to unmute. Please ensure that your queries are concise in nature. So I request participants to please raise your hands for raising the queries related to filing of ARR. You can raise your queries by using the React button, and under React button you will find raise hand option. Please use it.
Anubha, before you open the floor, let me just ask quickly a question which has come to us. There were a lot of product in a single 8-digit entry, particularly when this 8-digit entry relates to others. So in that case, assuming within 8 digits, I have 10 of the products. If I club all the products, it gives a totally different picture. So within the 8 digit also, should I give a separate return for all these 8 to 10 products?
So that's a good question. Frankly, we had not thought about that scenario. Currently, I know the IT system is not preventing, but we'll see if others has got particular description which differs. That means 8-digit is common, but the description is something and it changes. If we can enter different entries, the only thing is as long as it is meeting the 50 lakh threshold, let them report it separately. But by splitting it, if all of them go 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, those kind of things, then perhaps you have to create a justification that though ITCHS is same, but all of them have gone beyond 50 lakh, below 50 lakh threshold. In that case, only the one which is 50 lakh, above 50 lakh, they can report, and for the other ones, they can ignore. If let us say all of them go below 50 lakh, then they have to take the highest one, which is going to certain extent, let us say 20-25 lakh, which we also clarified on FAQ, they can report to that. From the back end side, we'll check in the system whether that is being allowed. If there is any tweak required, we'll do it urgently.
Okay, fine. Fair.
Mr. Srinivas, please raise your query. Mr. Srinivas, please unmute yourself. Yes, sir.
Madam, our export products consists of 4 HS codes. Okay. Among that, only 2 HS codes crossed 50 lakhs and 1 crore too. So, do we want to file return for the 4 HS codes or only only for 2 HS codes in a single application?
So it will be 2 because you have crossed 50 lakh ceiling for
Yes.
2 export items. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Out of 4, we have crossed it. In signal. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Out of 4, we have crossed 2 Out of 4 HS codes, we have crossed 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs for 2 HS. For 2 HS codes.
Mr. Srinivas, he has already clarified if you have crossed 50 lakhs for 2 codes, you will have to provide data in respect of these 2 codes only.
Okay. Achha. In a single explanation. In a single application, sir?
Yes, you can file in single application.
So we can add a HS. So we
Mr. Somesh, please unmute yourself. Mr. Somesh?
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but your voice is very low.
My query is regarding the inbound transportation for raw materials and other products. The contract which we are having is CIF. So the total transportation cost is not available to us. In that case, how to determine the VAT, excise duty, and other product fuel charges? What?
Mrs. Somesh?
Uh,
Ma'am, good afternoon. Ma'am, your voice is very low. Can you please speak a little louder?
Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, ma'am, this is regarding the inbound transportation, like from the factory to the port, as well as from the by roadways or by the railways, rail movement. Now, I just want to ask one thing to determine the services to be claimed. In regards of transportation, how would be the breakup to be done? Because we normally get a single bill from the clearing agent, takes care of the transportation. How would I determine the fuel charges involved in it, the VAT, and the other the other charges in the transportation? How should I determine? Because I get a single bill from the agent. And even in the case of raw material, since the shipment is in CIF terms, we don't get any bifurcation of the cost.
No. See, when it comes to the inbound or even for that matter, any transportation that you want to factor in for your cost,
Yeah.
you have to have some kind of benchmark that you decide. See, when you are giving data to the committee, you have arrived at those details, right? So let us say in this case, you are not one of the people who did the representation in front of the committee. In that case, let us say you don't have any data. You just have a bill which says that the transport breakup is this much. So from that transport breakup, you have to arrive at a particular percentage, approximately as to how much do you think was the VAT or other components which were not refunded. What is the fuel consumption? That is a very common question because people don't know. Your transporter might give you a bill of, let us say, 100 rupees.
Yes.
So you have to, at the beginning of the year, have an approximation as to for a 100 rupees transport invoice, what is the approximate fuel consumption depending on the type of vehicle that is used. If it's a heavy truck, if it's a small canter van or whatever. So you establish your own benchmark. You have a backup calculation for that. And you say for this 100 rupees, my fuel consumption was 45 rupees. So from that 45 rupees, get it an approximate amount of the excise duties that is suffered. And based on that, you might arrive, let us say 20 rupees is the amount that based on your survey with your transporters, you came up with a number.
Okay.
Use the 20 rupees throughout the calculation for that particular financial year if you are a small firm. Or if you want to revise and have an accurate calculation, do it for 3 or 4 times per quarter basis, you have a survey. So that should be good enough. The idea here is when you're talking about RoDTEP, you're taking more than 50 lakhs or more than a crore. You will have significant amount of transportation bills from which you can derive using these kind of sampling processes. So with that, once you have a number, you use that number, and whenever there is an investigation or if you ask for details, you keep a backup calculation ready. The idea is not to find the fault. The idea is as long as your calculation looks okay and you have taken a ballpark and rule of thumb which looks good, no investigative authority will go and do a very micro check that okay, it is 32.5 rupees, it should be 33.3 rupees. Those kind of things will not happen. But if it's a very, very different figure, then only it's an issue. So establish for your own industry as to how much is typical transport for a given 100 rupees of transport. What is the typical cost that you are facing? And from that, how much is the amount that is not reimbursed? This will change from industry to industry. It will change from how far is your industry from the port, how much of transport are you using, how much is moving here and there before the port, after the port, from the port to your premises, from your premises to the port, and so on. So these kind of things you can do once in a year if you're a small firm and use that for the year and justify it. Say that this is how we have established and go ahead with presenting those numbers. That should be okay with us.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Saurabh, please unmute yourself. Mr. Saurabh, click on the mic button to unmute yourself. Please, sir, speak. You have unmuted. Mr. Saurabh? Mr. Anil Garg, please unmute yourself.
Please, my question is, we are paying railway freight as well as sea freight. No guidance is available for railway freight. How to calculate the better taxes involved thereon. Secondly, number of items we are receiving on FOR basis, say packing material, other imports. What guidance is available for that? Because electricity, duty, freight, everything is involved in FOR basis. Every exporter is paying railway freight, but no guidance is there. How to calculate it? No information is available there.
In such scenario, I would advise that you can get in touch with your particular export promotion council, because most of the export promotion councils, they took their industry and they had made 1 or 2 presentations in front of the in front of the fitment committee. So the committee is aware of how the calculation is done. Lot of back and forth has happened and lot of deliberations have happened as to how do you arrive at these numbers. So if you get in touch with the EPCs, at least they'll be able to share 1 or 2 sample calculations as to how was this presented and how did they arrive from, let us say, FOR basis or any other kind of basis of value that they gave, and from there how did they calculate the duties and taxes that were not refunded. For when it comes to the electricity, it is fairly easy in the sense that if it is the consumption of electricity, you might have the number on which you have paid the duty. The problem mostly I have seen is typically in terms of transport, which is if it is a hidden component and it is not directly given as a bill. In that case, it becomes a little tricky to arrive at what is the cost that went towards the transport and how do you arrive from there? What is the duty that is not refunded in that, especially the fuel cost of it. So that is one area where exporter EPCs can handle you. What we will do from our side is we'll see with our drawback colleagues if we can share 1 or 2 sample calculations with the EPCs and who in turn can help the exporters to arrive at these numbers. So that will give you some idea.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, I'll just come in 1 second. Sir, also one more thing that I wanted to add in is the transport of workers to be added into this as well. That cost of the fuel that has been taken, especially for labor-intensive sectors, we have a huge bill for transport. So we would like to make sure that we also add that aspect of it as well, sir.
Yeah, I'm aware of this. See, but one end we have people who wonder as to from invoice how do I calculate the duty not refunded or taxes not refunded. At other end, there are people like you who have gone to the extent of saying that my employees are being transported, and then this is the exact component that I want that is not getting refunded. So we have people at all the spectrum. You can do that because that is an input cost, your labor cost, whatever is going in. So if you're ferrying them to the factory and you're able to establish that this is the fuel consumed, and in the fuel consumed, this is the part which is not refunded elsewhere. So that particular thing you can put in the calculation. That should not be an issue.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Sagar Basu, please unmute yourself.
Sir, I have, madam, is it audible?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Sir, I have one question. Actually, I have 5 HSN code and which are more than 50 lakhs. How many annual RoDTEP return has to be filed? And secondly, what is the modality to calculate the amount of excise duty and VAT involved in freight cost? Because the transporter is not mentioning the VAT and excise amount on the invoice.
See, the second part we have already deliberated as to how do you approximate and get at your this thing. Having said that, remember that this changes from state to state also. The excise part, your state might levy differently, so that also you have to factor in, and that is why you see the fuel cost is different in different states. So the second part has already been dealt. The first part also, what you said about different HS codes and how many will you file. The FAQ, the point number 3, we have gone into some detail as to explain as to which one will you file. Remember, the return is only one, but inside the return you will have multiple ITCHs for which you will report. The rule is that 50 lakhs and above. Let us say your 2 of your ITCHs are crossing 50 lakhs, you have to report for both of them. However, let us say you have got a RoDTEP which is more than 1 crore, but none of your ITCHs code individually at 8 digits cross 50 lakhs. In that case, pick only one ITCHS code which is at the highest and go ahead and report for that.
Ms. Gagandeep Singh ji, please unmute yourself. Mr. Gagandeep Singh, please raise your hand.
Hello. Hello, good evening, everyone. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Same question I have like Mr. Basu, that we have more than 10 HSN code and every HSN code value cross 50 lakhs. So should we need to file return for every HSN code or any one of them?
All of them. You have to file for all of them. Once you log in, you'll go to the screen where you will file only one return, but inside the return, you will add one HS code. Once you add, there is provision for adding more. So you have to say add more. And then you choose one more HS code and then you give the details for that. Then add more and go on adding like that for all your 8 ITCHs that you're saying have crossed more than 50 lakh of RoDTEP.
And the value which we have to mention on the return is the script value, the duty value or the any other value?
No. The value means what I'm talking about is if an ITCHS has crossed 50 lakhs, you have to add that ITCHS. And for that ITCHS, we'll ask you certain questions about how much was the total export, how much was the different things that have been suffered on that, and those details you have to fill in. So whatever we are asking is serial number 1, 2, 3, and up to that 18, 27. All of them you have to fill for each ITCHS code.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Amalagam HO, please unmute yourself. Amalagam HO.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please raise your query.
Yes, good evening. We need a clarification on the threshold.
Speak a little louder.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Please raise your query.
We need a clarification on the 50 lakh threshold limit, which you is the threshold limit on the FOB value or on the RoDTEP value that we are receiving?
Is the RoDTEP value that you have claimed for that particular financial year.
Okay, it is the RoDTEP value.
The
Okay,
RoDTEP
we have
value.
one more query regarding the outbound transportation. Hello.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so the form, the application specifically says that we have to take transportation from the factory to the port. So what about the ocean freight or the air freight that we are incurring on shipment? Can we take that as well?
See, this is for refunding the duties and taxes that is not refunded, suffered in India. So if you are suffering something that is going on the ocean beyond the border, you have your export has sailed from there. So that cost, and if there is something there, that is not covered. So we will take only the duty of you are talking about point 11A, 11B, 11C, D, right? So for that outbound, you have to take only from your factory to the port, and that's where it ends.
Okay.
Mr. Deepak Kaleskar, please unmute yourself. Mr. Deepak, please unmute yourself. Mr. CA Arpit Bothra, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question is that we are manufacturing pulses, which we procure it from the farmers. So the farmers are incurring various expenses while farming, like for the electricity, water, etc., fertilizers, etc. So in those expenses also many taxes are embedded. So how to calculate them, and we can where we can mention it in the return?
See, in form itself, we have made a provision. If you see that, I think it's point number 20, where we have set taxes and duties per unit of raw material only for farm sector. So sometimes, especially if you're procuring cotton or some other input like that, you might not be getting the detail, but if you can work out and give it there, we'll take that as the value. So we have made a provision. If you have the data, kindly give it there.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Mr. Akshay, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, madam. Good evening, sir.
We are merchant exporter. We have no direct expenses like stamp duty, transportation, electricity duty, power, raw material cost, etc. So where we mention the amount and what is the other documents to submit.
See, in some of the fields, if we are given and we are asking stamp duty and all, doesn't mean that mandatorily you have to give it. It's like if you have, you give it. If you don't have, give only those things that you have and see if it is reaching the amount of RoDTEP that you have claimed. So in case you are working with your manufacturer, check with your manufacturer as to how much is he incurring for that particular ITCHS, if he has paid some kind of stamp duty, if he has paid some kind of things.
Actually, we bought our materials from traders. So there are no direct connection with manufacturers.
Okay. So it's just a procurement and sale, right?
Yes. Direct purchase and direct sale. No between anything.
Okay. So there is no data that you have and your trader or stockist, whoever he is there, even he doesn't have any data of RoDTEP and those kind of things. Okay, you can send a representation and we'll see what can be done in this particular case.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Mark the copy to FIEO also for our reference. Mr. Ashutosh, please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please raise your question.
Ma'am, we are from carpet industries, and my question is that my industry is totally highly fragmented industries. Okay, so we are purchased from various unregistered suppliers and various MSME suppliers. Okay, so our industry is like vertically integrated, but like we are purchased from various MSMEs and fragmented industries. Okay, so there is transportation divide at various stages to the so that like product marketable to like export of goods. Okay, so my question is that how can we provide the data or documents from sources, like if we purchase for purchase of cotton yarn, okay, and the embedded tax levied in that cotton yarn is like from the procurement of cotton from farmer to the ginner and ginner to the spinner to the finished good, like manufacturer of carpet. Okay, so my question is that how can we calculate and how can we justify that transportation, like transportation cost embedded tax?
So I gave you an approximation as to how do you do it. So basically the approximation was if you're given a certain invoice value for your transportation, from there put up or calculate a rough rule of thumb as to how much is the embedded tax that is not refunded for your transportation part. Even if you're procuring from 20 different suppliers and those 20 people give you different kind of transport invoice, even then you can add up and come at an approximation for your kind of industry. Having said that, your other part of the question where you're saying you're buying from cotton from other people where there may be embedded taxes about which you are not aware. So that you have to establish, you have to understand as to how much is the approximate embedded cost in that, and then put it in that particular column we have given, where we are asking the farm input, whatever is embedded tax, and that is not refunded. That's what you believe. So that you have to work on that. Without any kind of support, if you put a random number, that might become difficult to justify in case there is a detailed investigation as to the amount of RoDTEP that has been claimed. So that particular thing, as we said, we'll give some kind of support to the EPCs to see if we can give some information as to how do you arrive at those numbers.
But sir, it is difficult to collect the data like from the like ginner or like from farmers for the transporting their goods.
See, their transportation, how much they did between them, that will be difficult data for you to calculate. First round, you see the calculation of the direct transport to you when you are procuring from different sources. I mean, that itself should be significant, and if that justifies your RoDTEP cost, then it's well and good. If not, you have to go one level below and work on that data, at least to an approximation where you have done your survey as to how much of the inter-transportation that has happened and that particular thing has not been refunded elsewhere. Most likely that the transportation cost, if it has happened, I don't know how significant is it, because we have put the threshold thinking all these things in mind, that if we start asking for everything, it is difficult. So we have taken only those ITCHs where at least the claim is 50 lakh rupees of RoDTEP. So the assumption is if the claim is 50 lakh of RoDTEP, the export should have been significant. And 50 lakh is the threshold. People who are filing would be more than that. So that being the case, at least some kind of effort you will have to put to get this data and then justify.
Mr. Ramanan, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's a
please
nice
raise your
program. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's a nice program, and thank you for the same. Thank you for FIEO of continuous patronage given to the tourists.
Be concise.
And I have a query. We are a multi-product manufacturer. Our main product is glass and refractories and gypsum plasterboards, and which are exporting from different parts of the country. And suppose is there any facility to key in the data only for the glass and wait for refractories to come in so that we can save it and submit together? That is point number one. Point number two is, and we were getting different rates when we were exporting under advanced license for a particular ITC HSN code. And the same code, if we export under drawback, it was attached to a quantity cap, which was not there in the case of advanced authorization. I do not know the basis of under which how the rates for the same ITC HSN code varies when it is under drawback or under advanced authorization. How it will be dealt now in this new annual return? These are two head-breaking issues for me.
So see, our IT system is designed to take care of this thing where you can file under either under the EAA, EOU, SEZ head or under the DTA head. So when you say it's under DTA head for that ITCHS code, you fill the details. For the other head where there is a reduced rate, EOU, SEZ and advanced authorization, there you can file under different head. So we have given the feature where there is a draft, save the draft kind of thing, where if you fill one and you wait for other information to come in, you can wait. There is no problem. It's not that you have to sit in one sitting and fill it up. In fact, we have gone one step ahead and also have given you the facility to upload the Excel sheet. Once you fill all the details, you can keep it at local drive. You fill at your leisure, and once everything is ready, you can just upload the Excel sheet to our system and we'll ingest all the data. So for that template Excel sheet, you can also download from our website and you can populate that. So, I mean, this particular thing should not be an issue. Coming to your another question as to why the rates are different between advanced authorization, EOU, and this thing, that is how the committee had recommended, and based on the committee's recommendation, these rates have been notified. So that we'll not delve on that at this particular juncture. Any other question you can ask?
Thank you, sir. That's all for the time being. Thank you for.
Mr. Joshian, please unmute yourself. Joshian.
Yeah, basically we are a multi-location company exporting from multiple locations in India, and we are facing a challenge when apportioning the expenses, rather the taxes, especially for transportation, on the products having the same HSN at multiple locations. So will it be good enough to file the return at company level rather than of the region specific?
See, that is how we have designed the system. We are not asking you to tell us on factory basis because it will become too much of compliance burden. The initial system design was in that way, where we were asking each factory because the transportation cost differs. But then we realized that if you start asking you that kind of information, an exporter like, let us say, high exports will end up like filing hundreds and thousands of returns. So what we have done is it's simple at company or IEC level where you club all your exports under that particular ITCHS code and arrive at your averaging how you want to do. If you have two factories, one at 100 kilometers, one at 300 kilometers, you add up their transport cost and you average it out and you can come and you can just report those numbers, and that should be enough for us.
Clear, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Brijain. Mr. Jain, please unmute yourself. Sir, you are not audible to us.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yes.
Sir, good afternoon. I have one query related to point number 18, incidence of taxes and duty for export products on account of prior stage cumulative taxes on raw materials and inputs. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got it. Yeah, you're talking about point number 18, no? 18
Yes, sir.
is
Yes,
duty and
sir.
all that.
Prior stage for input of raw material and inputs.
Duty. Yeah, yeah. Deepak?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the prior stage cumulative taxes on raw material input consumed in the manufacture of export product. This we are talking about each of the input that goes into the export product. For a given ITCHS code, let us say you are making one particular item, and that has got, let us say, 3 or 4 inputs that go into them. Each of those inputs might have again suffered some kind of duties and taxes before it becomes a part of that 8-digit HS code. So this is where you have to fill up those details. The ones that were suffered on the inputs that go into the export product.
Sir, I just give an example. I am using polyester fiber, which basically comes from the crude. So should I go the prior stage calculating the duty on crude as well, which is not being, which is basically embedded taxes on the final product?
Right.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't know about your exact process, how it goes, whether that crude is part of input or it is getting consumed in the process. But in case there is anything that has been left out and that doesn't get reimbursed, definitely you kindly add it. If one input one, let us say, there is some item, as you said, which consumes crude, and that the duty on the crude is not getting reimbursed, you can very well put that into this particular calculation.
Sir, I have one more query about the inbound and outbound transport. Basically, diesel is made out of crude, and there are duties, import duties, and special duties on the crude as well, which are not being basically refunded.
For custom duties part, generally the drawback would have already factored that part, right? The drawback which you are getting for your export products.
Yeah.
So the drawback covers excise duty and the custom duty for any input as well as, let's say, prior stage accumulation. So yeah, so that should be factored into while you are
Sir, just I did a small calculation, or if I get a landed cost of diesel at 91 rupees, the levy is close to 50 rupees, which includes custom duty, additional excise duty, and the weight. I don't think whether we are getting in so much in a drawback.
No. See, the drawback calculation itself includes these duties. The BCD and these things kindly don't include. I mean, I think, Deepak, we need to add in the FAQ as to what are the duties that is covered in drawback, because those things kindly don't include in your calculation, because that will be wrong. In fact, in one of the verifications, that was an issue because the exporter had included these things in the calculation, which is actually part of the drawback. So it is very clear, duties and taxes not elsewhere refunded, only those duties and taxes. So we have a list of it, which will make a part of the FAQ.
SR, please unmute yourself. SR. Rama Agarwal, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah. My query is regarding advance authorization. So how will the threshold be calculated in the case of advance authorization? Because for advance authorization, the 4RE was introduced only in 24-25.
Right. So you are not required, like if you are not crossing within that month.
So that is not required in the case of advance authorization.
Right. For FY 23-24, if you are not crossing that threshold,
yes,
then you are not required to file that.
Okay, thank you.
Balaji Amin, please unmute yourself. Balaji.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
The audio is available?
Sir, speak a little louder.
Can audio is available?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. This is Balaji Amin Limited. My question is out of subject. We have received one notification from BCBA, Brew Mumbai Custom Brokers Association. And in that notification, they will say RoDTEP benefit are expired from 5th February to all advance authorization holders. But we have not received any specific notification from DGFT or customs.
Balaji, you are asking out of syllabus question. So we are not going to deliberate on that here. But for information, that particular notification they might be referring about is about discontinuation of RoDTEP for now for SEZ AA and EOU and not general RoDTEP. So we will refrain that question. We'll move on to the next one, please.
Mr. Amalaga Metro, please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon to you all. Regarding ours is the marine food industry actually. So we are purchasing the raw material from boat owners, I mean fishermen boat owners. So we are getting per for raw material. The inbound diesel cost, catching these wild caught these shrimp actually is not available. So can we get a statement from the boat owners and on the basis can be able to calculate per kg basis is diesel this VAT excise duty of diesel?
That is what we expect you to do. That is the correct way of going about. Nobody will give you the exact amount of non-refunded duty, taxes and all. You have to arrive at that based on the consumption actually that is going in and the amount that you're taking as not refunded elsewhere. So as long as you are able to establish that by doing your calculation and some sample invoices and other things that are there to present for investigation, that should be good enough.
So, sir, actually we can get it from, hello?
Yes, sir.
We can get it from the boat owners actually per kg. How much would be the diesel cost they are incurring? On the basis, can we able to file this one?
Yeah, kindly do that survey and also help your fellow other exporters who may also need such help by in collecting the data.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Girish, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, madam. Good afternoon. I am from Euro Vista India Limited. We are the merchant exporters. We export around 45 HS code numbers. Out of this, one HS code number crossing 50 lakhs for the RoDTEP. But this RoDTEP we export from various port supply from the number of suppliers and manufacturers and different ports. So how we get the data from them and how can you can do about this?
See, the best is if you have for that particular HS code for which you are crossing 50 lakh rupees, for that, let us say you are buying from 8 different sources and then you're transporting to the port, that is the only fuel part which will be there at your level. And then the rest of the data you have to collect from your particular suppliers as to how much they would have suffered. If this data is very difficult to collect, we'll see how it can be done because this is a problem that we are facing from various merchants as to how do we do it if the suppliers are more than a certain threshold and if I'm collecting from 50 different people like how you said. So try to work out on sample basis as to how many people you bought it from, what was the outbound cost where from the point of procurement to the port, how much did it cost? Can you collect some data on what is the embedded taxes and duties that are not refunded from the people who supply
export also from different ports. Export also from different ports. Mundra, Jainpeti, Tuticorin. Different ports, suppliers are different, and sometimes in between there is a trader.
Okay, fine. You send a representation detailing these things, and we'll see how best we can guide you on this one.
Where to send, sir, please?
To the email ID we showed in the presentation, right? RoDTEP policy3.rodtep@dgft.gov.in. That
We'll
email ID we'll share with FIEO. So FIEO will be sharing with you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Hardeep Singh, please unmute yourself.
हेलो
Yes, sir.
मेरे दो क्वेश्चन है। फर्स्ट, अगर मेरा रोड टैप की वैल्यू 50 लाख के ऊपर है बट पिछले साल क्या हुआ कि उसकी एक्सपायरी होगी, वो क्लेम नहीं कर पाए, तो क्या मुझे रिटर्न फाइल करने की रिक्वायरमेंट है?
नहीं, आई मीन क्लेम नहीं कर पाए मतलब हम उसी को पूछ रहे हैं जिसका क्लेम 50 लाख के ऊपर रहा है। तो आपने क्लेम नहीं किया मतलब क्या आपने स्क्रिप्ट जनरेट नहीं किया, ये बोल रहे हैं कि आपका मतलब आप स्क्रिप्ट उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता। हाँ, अगर आपका RoDTEP में आपका स्क्रॉल आउट हो गया 50 लाख के ऊपर तो हमारे डेटाबेस में आ जाएगा कि आपका 50 लाख था। तो अगर आपका 50 लाख हो गया है, आप सिर्फ बाद में भी जनरेट कर सकते हैं। आप कृपया इसका डेटा कलेक्ट कीजिए और इसका ARR एक फाइल कर दीजिए।
नहीं, हमारे पास क्या कोई ऑप्शन है कि जो एक्सपायर हो गया है तो इसको कैसे क्लेम करें?
देखिए कभी कभी हार्डशिप ऐसा हो जाता है कि आपके हाथों से बाहर हो जाता है, आपके पास ऐसे अगर स्पेसिफिक केस हैं जहाँ बहुत दिक्कत हो रही है तो आप हमको लिखिए, हम देखते हैं उसके जेन्युइननेस ऑफ द केस एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट हम आपको गाइडेंस दे देंगे।
Mr. Vinod, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please raise your query.
We just wanted to know whatever the raw material we are purchasing, that raw material we are procuring X factory price. So in that there is a transport charges included in the cost of raw material. So how we will bifurcate that transport cost, inward transport cost?
Deepak, can you take this question?
Yeah, can you please repeat, Mr.
So
Transport
what
cost is
raw
already
material we are
embedded in
procuring,
the raw material.
that is X factory cost.
Right.
So in that the transport is also included in the raw
Right.
material cost. So how we
Right.
will bifurcate that transport cost at the time of submitting this return?
Right. So I think sir answered it in the beginning, because there was another query that which was saying that generally the supplier or the your supplier or your input material which is coming, the price already has factored in the transportation cost. But to begin with, we have said that this is an exercise which we'll have to undertake. For that, what is the estimate transportation cost which would have incurred? So you have to use some kind of benchmark, or based on the distance, based on the kind of fuel, based on the kind of transportation, whether it is a referred container or those kind of things. So you have to come up with that number, right? I think you can, if you ask the transporter, probably that they'll also provide you some computation on that.
Mr. Krishna, please raise your query.
Yeah, hi. I have two queries actually. मेरा पहला सवाल ये है कि हम एक्सपोर्टर हैं जो कि 99% अपने इनपुट्स और आउटपुट रजिस्टर्ड डीलर के थ्रू ही करते हैं। तो हमारे पास ना एक लमसम 1 से 5% का ही ऐसा डेटा है जो हमारा अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर्स है। तो हम ये मानते हैं कि हमारा जो 95% डेटा है उसके अगेंस्ट में हमें या तो रिफंड मिला है या तो हमारे अकाउंट में क्रेडिट हुआ है, जीएसटी क्रेडिट हुआ है। तो ये जो 5% का हमारा डेटा है, हमें यही रोड टैक्स में सबमिट करना पड़ेगा या सारा डेटा जो एक्सपोर्ट के अगेंस्ट में इनपुट हमने लिया है वो सारा देना पड़ेगा?
No, I think that GST is not anyway being the scope of the RoDTEP. Right?
Right.
So the claim you are getting RoDTEP is for taxes other than GST, customs, or such taxes, which there are already other mechanisms in government to provide reimbursement or refund for that. So any taxes, so I think you already have there is a illustrative list of taxes such as VAT on fuel in inbound transportation, outbound transportation. That generally comes out to be the largest chunk of the taxes which are being remitted in the RoDTEP. Or it could be, so for you, if you are saying that the registered source is only 5% of supply, unregistered source is only 5% supply, so that means that might not be the major component for you for RoDTEP. But then probably inbound transportation, outbound transportation, electricity duty, stamp duty, or such things could be there, right? So you'll have to so the format, if you see the format, all those heads are provided. You need to only provide details wherein you have incurred duties, right? Duties or taxes which you think have not been provided through any other mechanism of government.
नहीं, मेरा सवाल ये भी है कि कॉस्ट ऑफ जैसे फॉर्मेट्स है उसमें जो कॉस्ट ऑफ इनबाउंड ट्रांसपोर्ट या आउटबाउंड ट्रांसपोर्ट है, तो हम ट्रांसपोर्ट भी जो है वो रजिस्टर्ड डीलर के साथ ही करते हैं, मतलब जो ट्रांसपोर्टर या तो रजिस्टर्ड है
नहीं, वो आप करते हैं पर वो आपको उसका जीएसटी क्रेडिट तो मिलता है, बट उसमें जो फ्यूल, जो वेट, जो डीजल लगा उसका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का, उसका देयर इज नो मैकेनिज्म फॉर दैट टू फ्लो एज क्रेडिट, क्योंकि वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के पास जाता है वेट. सो आई थिंक यू प्रॉब्ली नीड टू रीच आउट टू वन ऑफ द ईपीसी, आप जिस सेक्टर को बिलोंग करते हैं, देन प्रॉब्ली यू विल हैव बेटर क्लैरिटी ऑन दिस.
तो उसका कोई रेशियो है कैलकुलेशन का कि हमारे टोटल फ्रेट भी लिए हैं तो इसके ऊपर इतना ये वैट या
Sir, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself.
as I am an end user.
Mr. Krishna, what we have been given to understand by a few of the people that for road transport, fuel component is generally 45% of the total freight. So that can be, but of course it depends on number of other factors also. So first, if you have taken the supply which is inclusive of the freight, first determine how much would be the freight from the place of supply to your factory. Assume whether at 40, 45, what exactly is the reasonable fuel cost. Look into how much is of course, when you are looking into central excise duty, it is the same, but when you are looking into the VAT, it depends on the state. So do that calculation. If you come across any problem, we will help you out.
ओके मेरा एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन है क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है कि अभी हमने अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर्स का डेटा निकाला बट उसमें जो फैक्ट्री प्रोसेसिंग एक्सपोर्ट गुड्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस में जो एक्सपेंस है और प्लस जो सेल्स के लिए जो एक्सपेंस है हमारे जो पर्सन्स ओवरसीज विजिट करते हैं तो उनके ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में जो कॉस्ट है फ्लाइट टिकट्स एंड एवरीथिंग या हमारे जो लेबर हमारी फैक्ट्री में आते हैं या फैक्ट्री से बाहर जाते हैं उनके डेस्टिनेशन तक वो कॉस्ट और जो हमारे पास अपने व्हीकल्स हैं उनकी भी कॉस्ट तो क्या हम ये खर्चे भी उसमें ले सकते हैं इन इनपुट में
So the cost or the taxes have to be in terms which have been consumed in your processed or exported products, right? So you factor into that. I think your list of queries is starting from the fundamentals. So I think it will be better if you reach out to one of the EPC or sectoral EPC in which you belong, because most of the EPCs have submitted representations across sectors also. So probably you'll get insight from that, right? Thank you.
Okay, I'll just add in here, keep a rule of thumb very clear that whether can you trace it to the 8-digit IT for which you are reporting. अगर आप बोलने लग जाएं कि मेरा फ्लाइट टिकट मैं वहां गया था कस्टमर से मिलने इतना हुआ होगा एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कम बैक टू दिस काइंड ऑफ डिटेल्स कि 8 डिजिट में आप दिखाइए कितना उसका आया तो वील कीप इट वेरी रैशनल एंड सिंपल कि अगर आपका 8 डिजिट एचएस कोड का एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा है in that case you stick to that 8-digit HS codes consumption, their movement, what inputs went in, what kind of electricity duty or fuel or charges that you suffered and that was not refunded. You don't go into that income tax framework where you try to see as to whatever input comes how will take the refund of that. That is not the idea here. Most likely for the RoDTEP rates that currently prevail with this kind of accounting itself you should be able to show that you have actually suffered this kind of non-refund of duties and taxes on your 8-digit.
I think, sir, it's already 4:30, so
Yeah, so can
we
we
should.
take some
Yeah.
queries or?
So no, even in that case, what I would request is, in case you have further queries, with permission of Ajay sir, I would like to request that the same may be routed through FIEO to us. So we'll be happy to take it, and then probably I think looking at the interest, we may conduct one more session sometime, and then we can reach out. So also in writing, also we'll welcome the queries.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, I will request all the participants who could not pose their question, if they can email the session or leave the question in the chat. We will be sharing with the DGFT officer. And as suggested by him, because the numbers could not be adjusted in today's webinar, we will be having a further session with the DGFT, seeking their convenience after a week or 10 days.
So we have shared the query. We have shared the email IDs on which you can send your queries. We share the same to all the registered participants also. Now I request Mr. P.T. Srinath to propose vote of thanks, Director FIEO. Over to you, sir.
Mr. Tirumala, JDGFT, Mr. Deepak Jalani, DDGFT, Dr. Ajay Sahai, Vice President, Mr. Israr Ahmed, basically who's reached out to the office of DGFT and beyond this idea. I would like to, and the officials of Drawback who are present here, I would like to thank all of you for your answering the questions, for the presentations that you have made, and your patient hearing of the exporters. Of course, we would in fact request another hearing of this. We are compiling all the queries that we have received from YouTube as well as from the chat here, and we'll be dispatching those after collation and screening them. For those sectors, we are also planning some physical meets, but for that, I would request those associations to kindly write to DG and CEO FIEO at @FIEO.org, evincing interest for organizing this so that we can reach out to those particular associations physically, sector-wise, so that we can clarify those particular queries of yours in each of this particular sector. As far as most of this thing is, of course, we agree, sir, with the logic behind this, that we would not like to present this more as a subsidy, but in fact, it is a refund. So that is why Mr. Tirumala has insisted, even if you give a transportation cost, that should be as close to reality as possible and as close to the ITC HS code for which you have in fact received the refund. This is not a subsidy again. And of course, the rest of the questions have already been answered. It is HS code wide. If it is more than 50 lakhs, then you should take the one which is 50 lakhs. For multi-products, multi-locations, you please write to PO and we will look into that. We will escalate that to the office of DGFT as well. I thank you, sir, and I thank you, all of you, for your presence and the patient hearing today. Thank you,
Thank you.
experters.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
I would like to inform the participants that the YouTube recording will be available to you all. So you can use that. And for any queries, we have already shared the email IDs of Mr. P.T. Srinath, Director FIEO, and me, Anubha Chaurasya. So you can route all that to us.